The Raven Heights Radio Podcast. Get weird with us.
Like when I show you brain damage films, for instance.
Death Factory?
Yeah, Death Factory.
The name of the movie is Death Factory?
Well,
no, it's Death Factory, but one of the characters is really awful.
Yeah, he's this horrendous stereotype that's written into the movie. He laughs at everything, and I'm not even kidding. He laughs at everything. It's like, hey, look, we're in the shop. Oh, hey, look, a door. And that's verbatim.
Yeah,
that's like when it's that actor didn't listen.
That's so nice. You're calling him an actor.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You want to hear something really sad? The factory in it looks awful compared to the intro they shot after the fact because it was a negative pickup. It was a direct-to-video movie, and the thing is that in the intro they read the back of the box. You don't see them there reading the back of the box, but they just quote it without error.
Like, we already wrote it. Why do we got to write something else?
Yeah, exactly. And they're walking around. They had like a front man. They had almost like a crypt keeper, except his name was Brain Damage, and he was like this punk rock dude some 15-year-old would have scribbled on a notebook back in 1987. And he walks around a factory, and it looks like a righteously abandoned factory, and it looks creepy and shit. But then you see the one in the movie, which was actually shot like a year prior, had nothing to do with Brain Damage because they weren't a part of it. In fact, the movie wasn't even called Death Factory, from what I understand.
It's kind of a shame because it actually sounds like if you did a movie now with a Crypt Keeper style character who was totally picked up from a 1980s yearbook drawing, you could do something really cool with that.
Oh, it could be fun. Unfortunately, when you see somebody do something bad, it kind of turns you off from the idea.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like when they had add-ons for video game consoles, and then you did a few too many, and now everyone's like, we don't do add-ons anymore. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that with Death Factory, when you see the factory in the actual movie, it's not a factory. It's, in fact, a haunted house attraction during the off-season that they kind of, I suppose, set dress to make it look more like a factory. It was awful. They had Edwardian style furniture inside for no fucking purpose. It was like, who designed this place?
Yeah, and the appeal of a bad movie is that it's got to be fun. Like, it doesn't have to be good. It just can't be fucking bad. Like, that I watch a lot of Mystery Science Theater and
yes, and that's what we bonded over on our first day meeting. Actually, Andy and I.
Oh, yeah. Great! I was like, oh my god, did we talk about that? I don't remember that. But there are episodes that are actually unenjoyable because even though the guys are funny, depending on what cast you like, but it's always funny. But like the actual movies themselves are so devastatingly boring that it lacks any watching value.
Manos, The Hands of Fate.
Yep.
Well, yeah, God, that's a slog. You know what though? It's a slog, but at the same time, like, it's so much better on the rewatch.
It is. I will definitely give it that.
But that is painful. Yeah.
But when compared to something like The Final Sacrifice, then you're like, oh.
If that wasn't so bad.
I wonder if there's beer on the sun.
They sell pint glasses with that quote now.
Totally. Do they really? It always reminds me of Will Ferrell doing Harry Carey. Just like the moon's made of hot dogs. Totally. But anyway.
So Rousdower, is that a stupid name?
So just to get back to we
yes, please.
Sorry. So back to your writing comics and how did you get started writing comics?
Oh well, yeah. Oh God, is that at all interesting? I keep worrying that anyone's entertained by this mundane shit. Just getting back to the postcard things like that. That's just been a way to make some extra money, but it's been fun. But it has been a really interesting way of keeping present at these things, right? Because like. Do both of you go to a fair amount of conventions? I know I've seen you now, Erica, at 2.
I've done a few, like only a couple within the last 10 years.
Okay.
Not anymore. I used to do them a lot, but not anymore.
Yeah. What? Do you mind? I'm curious. What changed for you?
Oh, I hate people. And
I was right. I knew it. I called that earlier. You're like, because we're talking about cities, and you're like, oh, I don't like Los Angeles, I don't like San Diego, I don't like Boston. I'm like, oh, so you just don't like people? You're like, no, I like people. And now you admit.
I like select people that I choose. It's
fair point.
Like I like being in New York. I loved walking around that city. I just didn't like L.A.
That's
Like
I actually
New York is like a. I can understand why people either like it or dislike it. I can see both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
It's just that for me, I felt bizarrely comfortable there, and with the people, and with the transit system, and really, it kind of felt almost natural, as if I'd been there before. Where L.A., Hollywood, I love Hollywood.
The consistency, the convenience of the transit system is really nice. Although, when you're bartending and at 3 a.m. you have to wait an hour and a half for a train to get you to the Queens from the city.
Oh, well,
and, you don't get to bed until 5 in the morning, and that's
normal.
I was about to say, I thought like the bar didn't close until 5 o'clock in the morning. At least that's my experience in New York.
The older I get, I'm 31 now, so like my party days are dwindling, if not.
I totally understand.
Yeah. So it's funny because like I was bartending and because kind of dovetailing into the starting, when I did start comics, I was living in Los Angeles. I moved to New York for a terrible relationship that has since passed, and I've now met a wonderful woman who I'm engaged to, and she's the best. And so
good for that.
So it all worked out. Yeah, and if you're ever going to tell like a really shitty story, just people got to know like, oh, the dog doesn't die, right? Like that's the So moved to New York, and really started to get serious about this thing. Like before that, I was a guitar player for some companies and bands out in Los Angeles, and that's kind of always what I wanted to do. And I'm still, an avid guitar player. Like on my Instagram, you'll see I'm always playing with pedals or like messing with something, or but it was at the time I also was sort of like toying with this passion, this side thing that I really loved. And kind of out of the necessity, mother is the invention of necessity. I was just sort of, I guess, a little fed up with having other people be in charge. And with the comic thing and with the writing thing, it was always so much more you can control everything. I know that sounds pretty cliche, but it is true.
No, not at all.
No, you don't have to, you don't have to. You're just doing it for you. I mean, you're doing the best version of it you can, and you're doing something that communicates well. So you are considering other people during the process, but ultimately, like, it is a very singular experience on the writing end. Obviously, when you start working with artists, you start working with companies and editors and stuff. Like, you have to be malleable. You have to be a good team player and all that. But still, at the end of the day, what you're bending or what you're fixing is all from you. So it still has so much of that mold of you that it doesn't really matter what the end shape is, because that's hopefully you're working with people who are trying to make that the most precise communique you could. But it still is all you. So that was it, right? It's like I was just kind of sick of letting people have more say than they had wherewithal, right? Like that.
Mm-hmm.
Than they had any right to, basically.
Yeah, I'm sure we've all worked for that person before.
Yep.
I'm sure some of us are still working for that person and would love to throttle them to death. So to a violent end. So that was really the start of it, right? And then just sort of playing around. But then I had maybe it was a revelation more along the lines of that it was part of the creative process and part of seeing creativity as a viable work, right? Was the idea that if I wrote this story, I was working on this thing, it was something I was really passionate about, but the problem is if you go somewhere and they say, great, we love it, what else you got? That's not right for us. I don't want to be the asshole who says, I don't have anything else. This is the thing. you want it or not? Because I'm trying to make it a career. So the answer isn't, do you want it or not? The answer is, no problem. And here are the 9 other things I think you would like right now.
Right.
So, and that kind of was where Seance Room came in. Seance Room was a byproduct of that thought of saying that main thing that I initiated, still is near and dear to me, and it's nowhere even near like any. It's still just pages, but the Seance Room came about after that, of going like, well, here's another possibility, right? And the whole thing is my love of Twilight Zone, Tales from the Crypt. All Black Mirror wasn't a thing then, but it certainly, I mean, to dog comparisons would be silly on my part. The just the whole anthology, but with some fucking brass knuckles, with something to say at the same time. But it also was it's a form thing, right? Like when I pitched to Source1 Press and I got all this stuff going with them, this was the one that they picked because it is standalone issues. So each issue is one complete story, front to back. It's like an episode of The Twilight Zone where you can watch them. Yeah. You don't have to watch them in order.
But here's the thing. I want a whole season. I'm excited.
Well, thank you. That is really great to hear. Actually, glad you like it. It would be really crappy podcast if the whole time you're like, I don't know, Ben.
No, it was complete dog shit. Yeah. The writing was pedestrian.
Yeah, I actually, you know what's funny? I think the worst that I've gotten so far was that the writing was workmanlike, and even to me, that's a compliment. Like that, I'm more than happy about that. But I will say this too: the reviewer, it's actually these really, really great guys over this thing called Comics Crusaders, which is sort of a nationwide. They've got people everywhere. They're really very terrific people, and they were art fans, right? Like Kayla's art. So if people who haven't read this, obviously, which is all of you, because why would you have? It's painted basically. It's done digital, but it's the whole thing is she does this like just paint wash that's incredible, and she does her own colors, she does everything, and the art is top notch. This is some of the best stuff that I've ever seen, and
it's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm a fan actually. As a matter of fact, right this very second, I am looking at the wall at my framed Catwoman print that she did, which is the reason I fell in love with her work. Kayla Valerio. You can find her at Kayla Valerio Art. I'm looking at it right now. Like, so I was a fan first, and I think that's important. But so I have 15 issues written. So the seasons, well, in this, once again, this comes from the fact that, of saying, okay, great. Well, we're going to give you 4 issues, and we don't like these 3 issues that you handed us. So give us another 3. You know what I mean? That's right. It is 100% about just being prepared, overly prepared. Because we have, with Kayla, I'm doing 4 issues, and then after that, we have a new artist who is very similar to Kayla. And I can't say anything yet about the name, but I'm pretty sure it's going to go through. But she's very similar, and she's going to do 4 issues. So that's 8 issues that they've consigned to the Seance Room. If all goes according to plan, and no asteroid hits any of us at any given moment in the next couple of years.
Dude, that's fantastic.
Well, it is, right? But like at the same time, if they want 8 issues, write 16, so that you can so that you can toss the.
Did you grow up fat?
I did. Wait, I did. How did you make that connection?
Oh man, these technical difficulties, I swear. Well, at least it was a good place to leave off. So tune in next week for part 3. Thank you and good night.